Hey, it's Pastor Dan from Dexter Gospel Church with another Proverbs Practical. Thanks for watching. Our previous video, the last one of Proverbs 19, warned us about the consequences of foolishness and mockery. This next verse warns us about something that can turn us to foolishness and mockery. We're in Proverbs chapter 20, verse 1. Proverbs 20, verse 1 says, "Wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise." So wine in the Bible is the fermented juice of the grape. Strong drink was pretty much any intoxicating beverage. According to Jusinius, ancient writers seem to use it to speak of things that today we might call mead, the fermented drink from honey, things fermented from dates, from barley, sometimes grapes as well. Strong drink was a pretty generic word for any kind of alcoholic beverage, and wine was more specifically the fermented juice of the grape. So in this verse, he's talking about alcohol. And this is one of the great warning passages in the Bible about the dangers of drinking alcohol. What he's warning about is that well-known effect of alcohol to lower inhibitions, to leave a person doing something or saying something that they might not otherwise have done or said if they weren't under the influence of the alcohol. It causes them to act on their urges rather than clear thought and consideration of consequences. Alcohol has led many a person to mock something that they should have taken seriously. Alcohol's left many a normally cool-headed person in a rage. Their inhibitions were lowered. They shouldn't have said that thing, shouldn't have done that thing. But where normally caution would have gotten a voice, alcohol silenced that voice, and they just spoke or they just acted. Now, some people act like this is a good thing. I've heard drinkers proclaim, often in a slurring voice, that a drunk man speaks a sober mind. That is, he says what he really means. So what you're getting from a drunk person is really truthful. But in reality, you're only getting part of a person at that point. Once a person is inebriated, you're getting them without the parts of them that restrain their behavior, that keep them thinking about the effects of what they say and do on other people or the long-term implications and effects of things. Getting a person without their normal restraints and considerations is not a good thing. So the first stage of the warning is that alcohol is inherently dangerous. It lowers our inhibitions. Depending on our nature, we react in different ways when our inhibitions are lowered, but it means that we're acting with less thought. And thought is one of the things that sets us apart from the animals, what makes us what we are. The second stage of the warning is that alcohol is potentially deceptive. It says the person who is deceived by it is not wise, or they lack wisdom. Interestingly, the word for deceived here can literally be to stagger or to reel. Remember that old sobriety test where they'd have you try to walk a straight line, and if you couldn't do it, then you were drunk? Well, this is the person who would fail that test. They've been deceived. They're staggered. Alcohol has compromised their ability to walk straight, and so of course it's also compromised their ability to think straight and speak straight. So what is the point at which a person is deceived? Some would say it's the moment they take their first sip of that stuff. But that's not really consistent with the rest of Scripture on this subject. I think the hint to the interpretation of the passage would be in the word deceived itself. When the alcohol has affected the person's behavior to the point that they can't act like they normally would without its influence. When they're staggering, when they're reeling, whether it's mentally or physically, when they are affected to the point that they can't function normally because of the alcohol. The reason that alcohol is so deceptive is because it first affects the mind, the very instrument that we have to evaluate ourselves, whether we're compromised or not. That's what deception means. We've been affected without realizing it. We end up farther than we realize we've gone. If we knew it was happening, we wouldn't have been deceived. We'd be willingly participating. Far too many people have thought they could handle it, or have thought that a couple drinks at a party wouldn't affect them, but they ended up in addiction, or in a car accident, or hit by a car walking instead of driving, or mouthing off to the boss and facing repercussions. They were deceived, and because of that, they demonstrated that they were not wise. They didn't make a good decision. Matthew Henry, the old commentator, said of this verse, "When the wine is in, the wit is out. And then the man, according as his natural temper is, either mocks like a fool or rages like a madman. Drunkenness, which pretends to be a sociable thing, renders men unfit for society, for it makes them abusive with their tongues and outrageous in their passions. So what's the long and short for a believer today in the world we live in now? Because of its inherent dangers and its inherent deceptiveness, I see no compelling reason for believers in the U.S. today to drink alcohol at all. With bottling, pasteurization, refrigeration, we have so many choices of things to drink that are safe physically and won't affect us so strongly mentally. You never lose a fight you're not in. So why fight to keep alcohol from deceiving you when you can just not partake of it at all? I hope this video is a blessing to you. If it is, give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more. We'd love to hear from you in the comments, particularly if you've got questions about the Bible or matters you'd like for us to pray for. We'd also love to see you in person at Dexter Gospel Church. Until next time, hope you stay well and stay sober.